people, but it is a good sign, very positive sign that our great neighbor and great people from Iran are coming as a delegates tonight, and all the ways have been closed. Public transport is closed, and the main roads are also closed. For few of our participants, they went back. They couldn't make it to the venue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a peace day, unilateralism and bilateralism, a peace day organized and introduced by UNO. But it's very disheartening to know that UNO has lost its worth. It's not active regarding peace and negotiation and bilateralism. It is overtaken by Americans. They have formed a board, and they are holding parallel organization like UNO. This is very unfortunate. UNO has a mandate of a lot of countries, more than 100 countries, and it was supposed to be a very strong, potent and organization, but it has lost its worth. Sir, Iran war is the main issue of peace these days, and this war is very brutal, unpopular, and a fragile war launched by Americans on the innocent people of Iran and Gaza and Lebanon. And as you know, this war started when peace talks were going on, and peace talks schedule was there. And that is the main cause of mistrust of Iranians. They are not trusting Americans. They don't trust any of the American presidents. But this Trump has become, untrustworthy. And as you know, they are saying that the historians will write a lot on the character of this man. And as a French thinker said, that man is known, the man's waywardness is known by the elements of irrational in him. And this man is totally irrational, irresponsible, daughter of a great human rights activist, late Asma Jahangir, an icon of human rights in Pakistan, internationally also, Maniza. So I was talking about this war, and the Americans thought that this war will be short, very temporary. They will soon gain victories. Iranians will come out in the streets and they will come against the government. But this didn't happen. Rather, the Iranian government became more strong, more resilient, and more forceful. They thought that they can do it. They can have a regime change by bombing Iranian people. But I think the people around him, his cabinet, they have not read history. They don't know that Iranians have a rich history of 5, 6, 7,000 years. And it was never conquered by any invader. Even Alexander the Great, who came through Persia, stopped here and wanted to go back. He was so impressed by their culture, their civilization, their heritage, their language. He thought that I'll remain here. I will not attack India. But later on, he came to India. So I want to tell you that they have a great history of resistance. They have never been conquered by any force. Americans thought that they will do it by sheer force and sheer weapons, modern weapons. But as you know, this is almost seven weeks. They couldn't achieve victory. So this war, which is unpopular, when last time American president launched aggressions in Afghanistan, Iraq, their step was very popular in America, in public opinion. They had a massive support. But this war, this Irani war, couldn't get any support. Even the American public is dissatisfied. They don't want this war to continue, and this war has been thrust upon them. So the Iranians, for the very first time, have made American public opinion in their favor. Ladies and gentlemen, Americans they thought this is now a world of, this is not no more a unipolar world. Americans thought just like when the Britishers were in 19th century, they were disorganized, they were going back and they were retreating, but they launched many aggressive policies and they occupied many territories. So the Americans also, they are also in their last moment of aggression. The unipolar world is going to be end. And they thought that by lashing out at Iranians, they will make this world a unipolar world again. And this is a very strange thing. I read in Financial Times that Chinese have not supported, as we were taught that they will support Irani people. They said that let Americans make errors, blunders, follies. They quoted Napoleon, when the enemy is making mistakes, be quiet, let him make mistakes. So they are quiet and they are making mistakes. I just wanted to share with you that this is a multipolar world, but this president of America, he has made this world again a unipolar world. He has flouted, imposed taxes, tariffs, occupied, sent forces to other countries, has arranged peace negotiations, and so interfered in affairs of other countries. This proves that they don't believe in multipolar world. They still want that unipolar world will continue and Americans will do whatever they like. They believe that whatever is mine, and whatever is yours is negotiable. This is the American thesis and approach. I don't want to take a long time because we have very good speakers, intellectuals, scholars. His Excellency, we have arranged a cross-section of people. We have invited lawyers, journalists, academia, and ladies, political activists, social activists, political activists. So you will find these people as opinion makers. Last time also we arranged a roundtable conference here concerning Irani war, and it was very fruitful, very productive. And now on 28th, I am holding a seminar in Sargodha University. Sargodha University is a campus of 30,000 students, and with the collaboration of IRA department, political science department, and history department, we are arranging a very big function in their auditorium. We have invited progressive intellectuals, scholars, the VCs, and academia will address those seminar also there. So this is our party policy also. We favor Iran. Our president favors Iran. As you remember, in our last government, he initiated a scheme of pipeline that was not completed, gas pipeline. We have acute shortage of gas. We are suffering gas shortages these days in almost whole of Pakistan. And he initiated a launching ceremony of pipeline, importing gas from Iran. That was couldn't be implemented because of American sanctions. But now we hope that by initiating these peace move and initiating this ceasefire and peace talks and comprehensive program, we'll be able to again restart or reorganize that pipeline. And lastly, I just wanted to tell you about this man, Trump. His team of negotiators, they are not diplomats of any high quality. One is his son-in-law, and other one is a real estate tycoon from New York, his personal friend. And the vice president, he's a young man, but he's not an experienced and seasoned politician. And this is his team. And the Iranians, they have 100% literacy there. They have scholars there, many scholars. And this revolution is has a very strong roots. This is a popular revolution. It cannot be toppled by Pahlavi. Now you saw that he has a dwindling support these days. The rallies he's used to organize in the sport of imperial rule in Iran has fizzled out, has shrinked, and that man is playing on the cards of Israelis. He talks about Israeli soldiers' sacrifices. He's just like an idiot, innocent idiot playing in the hands of Israelis and Americans. This revolution is a genuine revolution, had a massive support of people. People are with them. And lastly, I want to tell you, Your Excellency, in our last meeting and in other seminars also, I told your representative, Pakistan has a mass support for Irani people and Irani revolution. This government was forced to support you because popular opinion is here against you, in favor of you. You have a mass support in Pakistan. Even I think it's more support than in your people of Iran also. The Pakistanis support your revolution, support your fight against American imperialism, and stand by you in these war and crucial times. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Asif. Now I would like to invite Ma'am Muniza Jahangir because she has to leave to somewhere else and she's in a hurry. So I would request Ma'am Muniza. Before she takes up this rostrum, I would request to the speakers that they have 7 to 8 minutes because we want to listen Mehdi Taheri, Sardar Masood and Majid Saab, our seniors, diplomats. So please, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much. I'd really come here to listen. And now, since the Iranian delegation is on its way to Pakistan, so all reporters have been called back to the newsroom. Shows you how
Breaking news.
that. Okay, well, it's no longer breaking. It's been an hour since that news has been out, so I suppose no longer breaking. But firstly, thank you for having this very important event. Thank you for the Shaheed Foundation, Shaheed Bhutto Foundation. You always have an alternative point of view to present, which is very welcome here in a city like Islamabad, where there's very little space for alternative point of view. And thank you for inviting Iranian guests. We welcome you, and we show our solidarity and our sympathy, especially for the children who have been killed in this war, in this terrible war. We have a stake in what happens to you because we have skin in the game. We have a 1,000-kilometer border that we share with you. But I think one thing that is important that has happened in Pakistan, which we must acknowledge as a process to this peacemaking, is that the policymakers in Pakistan have devised a new narrative. And the new narrative is that conflicts can only be resolved through some kind of negotiations and through dialogue. Now, if that is the new narrative that has been adopted by the Pakistani state, then we really do hope as the people of Pakistan that they will look towards the West in Afghanistan and they would look towards the East, towards India, and adopt the same narrative for themselves and give dialogue a chance, even for us as people of South Asia, to resolve their conflicts through this and to have some kind of a peace plan for this part of the world. Because what we have seen, and we have senior diplomats sitting here, that with the world arranging itself according to regions, whether that's the SCO, whether that's BRICS, that now the countries are going to move forward in regions. And pandemics have taught us that, climate change has taught us that, all kinds of earthquakes, floods have taught us that that these things know no boundaries. And if policymakers are to redraft policy, then they have to look at themselves not just as countries but also as regions. So we hope that the next era and this war brings in a realization that it is only going to be through interconnectedness that we as regions can prosper. I do hope that at the end of this peace deal, we can realize the IPI pipeline, we can realize the TAPI pipeline, because we are energy starved as a nation. And as a nation, we can open avenues through trade with our regions. This region remains, unfortunately, one of the least connected regions of the world. And I hope that through this new realization, that our establishment finally allows the politicians to make the inroads that they want to make for peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Muniza. So nice of you. Our next speaker is Dr. Brigadier Retired Amin Diosab. He has been the former Vice Chancellor of Balochistan University and Balochistan UET Khuzdar. He is a PhD from NDU in IR. He has been an analyst and think tank. So I request him. Sir, Brigadier Dr. Amin.
With your permission, sir, you are my elder. Masood Sahib was ambassador in China once I did NDU, and together we were under extreme international pressure post Bombay incident. So in those environments, I heard a quotation. One army, one man army, and everyone is ambassador of his country once you're abroad. With these words, honorable, brotherly, friendly dignitary from Iran, my elder Masood Sahib, and he is also Kashmiri, and luckily I am also from Maqbooza, Kashmir. So we share commonalities. Respectable speakers and very dear audience, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and good afternoon. Today I'll be talking mostly talking on the professional aspects, that is the role of multilateralism and diplomacy in India-Pakistan conflict, because too much is being talked on Iran. So I thought, let's dig the earth, and our conflict, which is very recent in India, has some resemblance which give us. Actually, this mic doesn't have a cover, due to which it creates this. Okay. So, am I audible? Okay. I can speak even without this. I think soldier's voice should be loud enough to be heard. Though last 3 years I have suffered this. वो नहीं हवा बोलते हैं ना जब. Okay. So इसके ऊपर कवर अगर लग जाए ना फिर नहीं आएगी. जी. So the multilateralism and diplomacy in India-Pakistan conflict of May 2025, with particular focus on global and regional actors involved into the crisis management, how we can interpret these developments through the lens of international relations theory. May 2025 crisis represent one of the most serious confrontations between India and Pakistan in recent years. It was triggered by a freedom fighter or a militant attack on Pahalgam, which India very quickly and swiftly blamed on Pakistan. However, Pakistan and Pakistani nation denies this. There were significant casualties. It resulted into a very dangerous escalation. And why it was dangerous? Because both are nuclear armed nations. What made this situation critically was that both India and Pakistan are nuclear armed states. This raises stakes of any military confrontation dramatically. Even limited escalation carries the risk of spiraling into a broader conflict with potential catastrophic consequences. This is where multilateral diplomacy becomes critical. Multilateralism, in simple terms, refers to the involvement of multiple states or institutions working together to manage or resolve a conflict. A 2025 conflict was a classical example. There was no single formal mediation process. Instead, what we observed was a network of diplomatic interventions by major global powers and regional actors. To understand the more deeply, it is useful to apply two major theoretical frameworks from international relations: realism and liberal multilateralism. Let me start with realism. Realism assumes that the international system is anarchic, meaning there is no central authority to manage any conflict. As a result, states are bound to strive for their power, their security, and the survival. As a result, in this perspective, India and Pakistan, both after the incident, they went into a spiral of competition to ensure the India wanted to retain deterrence and Pakistan wanted to have maintained the status quo of security. Pakistan, of course, responded to what the India did and preserved on strategic interaction. Neither side could afford to look weak. At the same time, both countries exercise restraint. Why? Because of the nuclear tensions. This is what scholars call the stability-instability paradox. Nuclear weapons make full-scale war less likely, but they can make limited conflict more frequent. That is exactly what we saw in May 2025. Rapid escalation, but within controlled limits. Realism also helps us understand the behavior of external actors. The United States intervened not simply out of a desire for peace, but because a war between India and Pakistan could escalate and destabilize the broader. There's instability into the Indian Pacific region. China, meanwhile, had a strong reason of stability. I leave the because I was told by. The China had a strategic interest with Pakistan and also an economic interest. Because Masood Sahib also knows that what theories we apply in the study of literature into different conflicts, the Chinese have altogether a different literature to follow. With China and Pakistan, there were, if we see from the perspective of Western theorists or academics, those theories, of course, with the literature of Western is not truthful in China. The Chinas, they have long terms. interest. For example, with Pakistan, they do not have any love affair of economic benefits or approach to Gwadar through all that. In their short term, in their theory, is 25 years short term, 50 years is mid term, and 100 years is their long term policy. So they do not want this region, which is Pakistan, to destabilize geostrategic. So I want to say, because I have a separate paper written on this, that Chinese do not have only economic interest with us. They have a geostrategic interest, which is more predominantly. They don't want, that is why their professor very bluntly commented that we will not allow India to move an inch into the Pakistan. We guarantee sovereignty and geographical integrity of Pakistan. That Professor Gao, you must have heard him. Because Masood Sahib and I have been in China, and we have been in the policy circles also. So they are long term. It's not economics, CPEC fail ho gaya, ya CPEC kamyab ho gaya, so that is not interest. And similarly, their relationship with Iran, I would salute the nation of Iran. Sir, please, my personal salute to you and your nation of resilience and the courage you have shown, not only to the Muslim world, but to the all third world countries, that it is resolved and it is the national will which ultimately declare the survival of nation. Okay, specific multilateralism and diplomacy. China covered, Russia remained neutral, but they exercise diplomacy through subtle means. Subtle means India and Pakistan, they were not active, but they were subtle. As compared to previous experiences of 1965, they are very active against us. 1971, they were very active against us. They vetoed the resolution. In 1986 escalation, 1992 escalation, 1998 atomic explosions, they were hostile to us. Till 2012-13, they were hostile to us. It was somewhere in between 2016 and 2019 that they came into, because the India shifted toward US bloc, and they had a working ground with Iran and Pakistan and Afghanistan combined, that they could form a region of their influence because their presence in the region. So this is Russia in this conflict. Now GCC countries had economic and other interest, so they exercised the diplomacy and back channel discussions with both India and Pakistan. Similarly, okay, so I am told by the moderator, thank you very much. I hope I have conveyed my thank you very much for listening. Oh, my please.
Thank you, Bagar Sahib. Our next speaker is Chairperson, International Department, International Relations Department, University of International Islamic University, Islamabad, Dr. Noor Fatima Moj. And I would also request her to keep the address precise and concise. Thank you, ma'am.
His Excellency, respected President Masood, distinguished guest, esteemed fellow panelists, good afternoon. I'm heard? Okay. It is a privilege for me to speak today on International Day of Diplomacy. And I'm grateful to Dr. Nasser for inviting me over on this talk. We gather at a time when peace is not settled, a reality, but an ongoing negotiation, and we are very much witness of that reality today. Diplomacy today is not merely about maintaining relations. It is about preventing escalation, sustaining dialogue, and preserving the possibility of peace in an uncertain world, the way we are as Pakistani doing at the moment. We are living in a time where the rules of the global power are being rewritten, as my colleague has already said. For much of the modern history, geopolitics, military alliances, territorial control, and security competition defined now how the states are interacting with each other.
Let me talk about multilateralism, the subject. But before I do that, I want to join other speakers in paying my tribute to the nation of Iran. And Iran has passed through devastating times. Thank you. In the recent weeks, it was attacked by the United States and Israel together. Their combined force was meant, as it was pointed out by Dr. Asif, was meant to obliterate the state of Iran. It didn't happen. And the strongest army in the world and the strongest regional army in the world, which is touted to be the strongest, which is Israel, they combined their forces and attacked one country that has been under sanctions for decades. And yet, despite 21,000 attacks on Iranian soil from the air, this nation has survived. And this is their victory. So I think there is a neighbor, it's a dear neighbor. We have cultural, political, and strategic ties with the Iranians. And we, as a nation, express full solidarity with the Iranians. We have taken upon ourselves the responsibility of peacemaking and mediation, because when the war broke out, it affected the citizens of Pakistan, but it also affected the entire neighborhood. And so we resolved that if the United Nations is not working, if the Organization of Islamic Cooperation is inactive, if the Arab League is not moving forward, Pakistan would do the diligence. And this is what we did. Immediately after the war started, our leadership, both political and military, they started reaching out to their counterparts and to the presidents, prime ministers, and foreign ministers of other countries to make sure that a credible, authentic mediation process starts so that we can put an end to this war. And by the grace of Allah Almighty, this effort is succeeding. As I speak to you today, we have heard that the Honorable Foreign Minister of Iran, Mr. Abbas Araghchi, is arriving tonight to have consultations with his counterpart here in Pakistan. We are hoping that the technical team from the United States would also be here. And these are, as I hear in the initial breaking news, that this is going to be proximity talks. Probably there are some thorny issues that they have to sort out. We hope that these efforts would succeed. Let me also tell you that Pakistan, I'm talking about the approach that Pakistan has taken. I mean, this would be of interest to the experts in international relations and also academics. Now, what Pakistan did when the war started, it started reaching out to the civil and military counterparts. But first, they built regional consensus that all the regional countries, whether it is Gulf countries or whether it is Iran or whether it is Egypt and Turkey and Malaysia and Indonesia, they should be behind this effort. After having mustering the support of these countries, Pakistan traveled to China, and in China, the two countries, Pakistan and China, they issued a 5-point communique. The communique was about ceasefire, dialogue, free navigation of the Strait of Hormuz, and finally, it was that everything should be done within the parameters of the United Nations and rule-based order in accordance with the United Nations Charter. And it was Pakistan's success that we were able to host the first round of talks. I believe that during this round, some progress was made. And when the delegations left, the process has continued for consultation, for passing the messages, for bringing the negotiators back to Islamabad. As somebody mentioned, as Muniza Jahangir mentioned, that the red zone is in lockdown right now, and we're waiting for the negotiators to come back. The entire Pakistan is hosting these delegations, and we want that there should be an agreement between them. And if Pakistan wins, if the mediation process succeeds, if Iran and the United States reach an agreement, this would be success not only for Pakistan, but for the entire world. This would be success for the people of Iran, for the United States, for the broader international community. Let me briefly talk about multilateralism, which was the subject today. So, multilateralism, let me give you brief history. Rest assured that my presentation would not be long-winded, because let me go into history. But that doesn't mean that I'll speak for a very long time. Very swiftly, I'd like to mention that the whole process of multilateralism started in the 18th century, or 19th century to be more precise. And there was a group which was called the Concert of Europe. It was constituted, and the purpose was that there should be equilibrium amongst the powerful nations of Europe. But that balance unraveled shortly before the First World War. And there was the First World War, and you have the interwar period. In the interwar period, you have the League of Nations. Now, the League of Nations was the first institution which strived for establishing institutionalized multilateralism. But that experiment failed and led to the Second World War. After the Second World War, the world came up with multilateralism in the form of the United Nations, its affiliated bodies, which are based either in the United Nations or headquartered in New York or in Geneva or in Vienna or in some other parts. But basically, these three venues are very important. Now, what has happened over the years, we all pinned our hopes on a rule-based order, that this rule-based order that was constituted after the Second World War, that this would be, in fact, rule-based, and that would be non-selective, and this would be impartial. But what we saw over the decades, that this system was not fair. I mean, it was also supported or buttressed by what you call the Bretton Woods institutions. You had the IMF, you had the World Bank, you also have the IFC and other institutions, and multilateral development banks. Now, recently at Davos, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, admitted that this system, right from the beginning, throughout, was duplicitous. It was not meant to be fair or just. Probably it served the interests of the powerful. Now, the United States, which was the creator, the architect of this system, has started dismantling the system. And they are saying once again that might is right. If you are powerful, you can have your way. And so the system is fraying, and the result is that the coalition itself, the alliance itself, has suffered. The alliance between the United States and European countries, or the Western world as we used to call it. So it is creating a vacuum. Now, researchers, academics, and several leaders, journalists are sitting here in this room, And this is my message to everybody, not only to the audience in Pakistan, but to the broader international community, that is, if there's a vacuum in regard to multilateralism or international law, then somebody has to fill it up. Pakistan has filled it up right now with the help of China, the Russian Federation, European Union, Canada, Australia, Gulf states, Iran, and the United States. But this is a stopgap arrangement. It is not institutionalized. I gave you the reasons why Pakistan had to take this initiative. So what I want to say is that it is a wake-up call for the Islamic world, for the Muslim world. You are at the mercy of the whims of the powerful nations. And therefore, you all feel secure that it is Iran, as a matter of fact, that is being pounded or that's being attacked. As it has been pointed out to the Islamic countries that today it is the Gulf region or the Iran or other countries. Tomorrow it would be other countries which would insist on the rule of law, which would try to acquire their legitimate rights. I think that this conclusion is food for thought for all of us, and we would like to build on this. I think that one last thought that I want to share with you, people think that human rights, multilateralism, interstate relation is something that was invented by the Western culture after Renaissance in the 19th century. But I would like to say that I'll like to take you back to the period of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And during his brief period of 20 years or 10 years, he gave us, and the Quran gives us, international law, international humanitarian law. Islam is so rule-based. It is rules, rules, and rules for your personal life, for your relations with other human beings. Even it micromanages, it prescribes what is the relationship between the two spouses, or how would you buy and sell property. What about inheritance? In war, what kind of diplomacy you would exercise? What kind of warfare? There are war laws, for instance. You will not attack non-combatants under any circumstances. You would not harm or hurt trees. You would not be extortionist when it comes to when you're marching towards Makkah, from Medina to Makkah for the final victory. You will not extort food provisions from other people, and particularly you take care of women, the elderly, sick. These are the rules that were written centuries ago, and you, the Islamic nations, are the custodians of these laws. This law is inscribed in the most synoptic fashion, and yet it is so comprehensive. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And I apologize to you that I have to leave early. And at the same time, I would also apologize if I've exceeded my time limit of 7 to 8 minutes. Thank you.
And others, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Nasir Hussain Bukhari and Asif Khan Sahib for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my views on this important day. In 2018, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution to commemorate 24 April as the International Day of Multilateralism and Diplomacy for Peace. Whether by coincidence or by grace of unusually fortunate stars, this significant day devoted to peace happens to fall on my birthday, which is today, 24th. Yet at this defining moment in history, I find myself questioning whether this day ought to be celebrated at all. Perhaps it is more fitting to mourn the steady erosion of the very principles it seeks to uphold. Multilateralism today is not merely being ignored, it is being systematically weakened, if not outright dismantled, by those who once proudly presented themselves as its foremost champions and as the principal advocates of diplomacy in the service of peace. The history has been told to you already. At the beginning of the 20th century, US President Woodrow Wilson, through his doctrine of moral diplomacy and open diplomacy, laid the intellectual groundwork for the emergence of multilateralism in international politics. He advocated a decisive departure from the traditional balance of power model that had long governed interstate relations, envisioning instead an international order anchored in collective security, the rule of international law, and transparent cooperation among nations. As the principal architect of the League of Nations and the leading proponent of the 14 points, Wilson provided the conceptual foundations of modern multilateralism, reshaping the language and practice of international diplomacy for the 20th century and beyond. But today, the blatant disregard for international law, United Nations resolutions, and the most elementary norms of diplomacy leaves no doubt that the so-called sole surviving superpower, the United States, has no regard left for genuine commitment to multilateralism and diplomacy for peace. Ironically, the very state that once positioned itself as the principal architect and guardian of the post-war international order now appears increasingly willing to sideline the norms and institutions it once urged the world to uphold. President Trump's America First doctrine and his overtly bilateral approach have rendered not only the United Nations increasingly irrelevant in Washington's strategic thinking, but have also brought even long-established multilateral alliances such as NATO under fire. By dismissing the UN as a forum for anti-Americanism and left-wing activism, Trump has openly challenged the legitimacy of the very institutions designed to uphold multilateral diplomacy and peace. At the same time, his confrontational approach towards NATO, particularly during the ongoing US-Iran crisis, has intensified concerns over the future of transatlantic security cooperation. The Trump administration is reportedly exploring the possibility of penalizing NATO allies for refusing to follow Washington's lead against Iran, exposing the deepening crisis within the architecture of Western multilateralism itself. Against this backdrop of global diplomatic paralysis, Pakistan has encouragingly emerged as a key peace broker between Iran and the United States. At a time when hopes for multilateral diplomacy were rapidly diminishing, the President Trump had openly threatened to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages. Islamabad ensured that the channels of diplomacy remained open. Through sustained back-channel engagement and active facilitation, Pakistan played a meaningful role in helping prevent further escalation and in supporting efforts that contributed to a temporary ceasefire between Washington and Tehran, which we hope with negotiations of second round will become permanent. This development underscores Pakistan's growing relevance as a facilitator of dialogue at moments when traditional diplomatic mechanisms appear increasingly constrained. In many ways, the arc of modern international relations reflects a paradox. The 20th century began with Woodrow Wilson's vision of a rules-based international order anchored in collective security, only to see that vision institutionalized through the United Nations after the devastation of two world wars. Yet in the 21st century, that very architecture of multilateralism appears increasingly fragile. Rising unilateralism among major powers, growing disregard for international law, and the weakening authority of global institutions have all contributed to a crisis of confidence in diplomacy itself. In this context, the emergence of states like Pakistan as facilitators of dialogue offers a modest but meaningful reminder that diplomacy is not yet obsolete. If multilateralism is to retain relevance, it will depend not only on the intentions of great powers, but also on the willingness of middle powers to keep the channels of communication open when others choose confrontation over cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sahib. Trump actually introduced this doctrine that you may call New American Imperialism soon after he took the power and he made his first speech. He imposed, tariffs on different states. Then he kidnapped the president of Venezuela and he miscalculated the Iranis. وہ یہ بھول گیا کہ ایرانی سلطنت یا ایران کی جو مملکت ہے وہ وینیزویلا نہیں ہے، اور اس نے حملہ بھی کیا اور آبنائے ہرمز میں آ کے پھنس بھی گیا. لیکن اس موقع پر before I invite His Excellency, it is essential to understand that multilateralism is the only solution of this crisis. Diplomacy is the only solution of this crisis. And both rivals, Americans must understand that Iran is a diverse nation and very brave nation. And Iranis must also understand that Americans are superpower and they have a goof in the power. So both should understand it. In the last, I would request to His Excellency, Director General Khana Farhang Rawalpindi, Dr. Mehdi Taheri Sahib for his final speech. Dr. Mehdi Taheri.
Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. Thank you so much. من اجازه میخوام که سخنرانیم رو به زبان شعر علامه اقبال لاهوری یعنی زبان فارسی ادامه بدم. خب آقای کاظمی شما آمدید. خب بگید که من شعر رو خب در ابتدا تشکر میکنم از همه مهمانان ارجمند، اساتید محترم، رئیس محترم دانشگاه آقای دکتر آصف و همه مهمانان ارجمند، آقایان و خانم هایی که در اینجا حضور پیدا کردید.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. میں چاہوں گا کہ آج کی اپنی گفتگو کو علامہ اقبال کی شعر کی زبان یعنی فارسی میں آپ کے سامنے پیش کروں. اور سب سے پہلے میں یہاں کے محترم اساتید شہید ذوالفقار علی بھٹو یونیورسٹی کے ہنرمند اور ذہین طلباء، پاکستانی اسکالرز اور تمام حاضرین کو سلام اور شکریہ پیش کروں.
من در این دانشگاه احساس غربت نمی کنم به خاطر اینکه نام این دانشگاه به نام شهید ذوالفقار علی بھٹو هست که داماد ما ایرانی هست.
میں اس یونیورسٹی میں بالکل بھی اجنبیت کا احساس نہیں کر رہا ہوں کیونکہ یہ یونیورسٹی شہید ذوالفقار علی بھٹو کے نام پہ ہے کہ جو ہم ایرانیوں کے داماد تھے.
خب برای من موجب افتخار هست که امروز در قلب پایتخت کشور دوست و برادر پاکستان در میان شما عزیزان دانشگاهیان و اساتید و دانشجویان ارجمند صحبت میکنم.
میرے لیے یہ بات دل کی گہرائی سے بہت باعث فخر ہے کہ میں آج ایک برادر اور قریبی ملک پاکستان کے دارالحکومت کے دل میں آپ جیسے اہل دانش اور آج کے خطے کے مستقبل کے معماروں کے درمیان گفتگو کر رہا ہوں.
این دانشگاه که امروز به مناسبت روز بین‌المللی چند جانبه گرایی و در واقع دیپلماسی برای صلح میزبان این نشست شده، در واقع همان میدان مقابله با طوفانی است که امروز منطقه آن با آن روبروست.
آج یہ یونیورسٹی انٹرنیشنل ڈے آف ملٹیلیٹرلزم اور ڈپلومیسی کے دن کے موقع پر جس کانفرنس کی میزبان ہے، در حقیقت یہ کانفرنس اسی محاذ کی نمائندگی کر رہی ہے جہاں آج ہمارا ملک ایک شدید طوفان کا سامنا کر رہا ہے.
سخن امروز من صرفاً تحلیل یک بحران سیاسی یا تقبیح یک جنگ احتمالی نیست، بلکه ترسیم یک رخداد تمدنی و ارائه یک نقشه راه فرهنگی برای بنبست از خروج نظامیگری است.
میری آج کی گفتگو محض کسی پولیٹیکل سچویشن کا انالیسس یا کسی پاسبل وار کی مذمت اور مخالفت نہیں، بلکہ ایک کلچرل پکچر کی در واقع انالیسس اور ملٹری کے حوالے سے ڈیڈ ڈراپ میں پہنچی ہوئی سچویشن کے سے نکلنے کے لیے ایک کلچرل وے پیش کرنا ہے.
ما امروز در آستانه یک تهدید گسترده از سوی ائتلاف آمریکا و رژیم صهیونیستی علیه ایران قرار داریم. اما اجازه دهید از پنجره فرهنگ و تاریخ به این ماجرا نگاه کنیم.
آج ہم امریکہ اور صہیونی طاقت کے اتحاد کی جانب سے ایران کے خلاف ایک بہت بڑے خطرے کا سامنا کر رہے ہیں، لیکن آئیے ذرا اس معاملے کو کلچر، ثقافت اور تاریخ کے زاویے سے دیکھتے ہیں.
آنچه امروز تحت عنوان گزینه نظامی مطرح می شود شکست دیپلماسی چند صدایی است.
آج جو کچھ فوجی آپریشن کے آپشن کے نام سے پیش کیا جا رہا ہے وہ دراصل ڈپلومیسی کی ایک متحد آواز کی ناکامی ہے.
غرب به رهبری آمریکا و با پیشقراولی رژیم جعلی اسرائیل پس از دهه‌ها تلاش برای تحمیل روایت برتری تکنولوژیک و امنیتی بر خاورمیانه اکنون به دیوار مستحکم مقاومت هویتی برخورد کرده است.
یورپ نے امریکہ کی قیادت اور اسرائیل کی خود ساختہ مصنوعی رژیم کے ساتھ مل کر بہت عرصے اور کئی دہائیوں سے مشرق وسطیٰ پر ٹیکنالوجی اور امن و امان کی برتری کا نیریٹو مسلط کیا ہوا ہے، لیکن اب وہ شناخت کی مقاومت کی مضبوط دیوار سے ٹکرا چکا ہے.
ایران نه یک کشور که یک تمدن است. تمدن‌ها را نمی‌توان با بمب ویران کرد، چرا که ریشه آن در حافظه جمعی ملت‌ها فرو رفته است.
ایران صرف ایک ملک نہیں بلکہ ایک تہذیب ہے، اور تہذیب کو بموں سے تباہ نہیں کیا جا سکتا، کیونکہ ان کی جڑیں قوموں کی مجموعی یادداشت کے اندر اتری ہوئی ہوتی ہیں.
مخاطب دانشگاهی و محققانه شما نیک می‌دانید که طرح حمله نظامی به ایران ریشه در همان گفتمان شرق‌شناسی ادوارد سعید دارد. تصور غلطی که شرق را فاقد عقلانیت استراتژیک و صرفاً قلمرویی برای مداخله نظامی تصور می‌کند.
آپ جیسے تعلیمی اور دانشمندانہ حلقوں کے لوگ یہ بات بخوبی جانتے ہیں کہ ایران پر فوجی حملے کی سوچ دراصل اسی اورینٹلسٹ نیریٹو سے جڑی ہوئی ہے جسے ایڈورڈ سعید نے بیان کیا تھا، یعنی ایک ایسا غلط تصور جو مشرق کو اسٹریٹجک عقل سے محروم اور صرف فوجی حملے کے لیے موزوں ایک ریجن سمجھتا ہے.
اما ایران نشان داده است که قدرت هوشمند مبتنی بر دین، فرهنگ و علم میتواند معادلات کلاسیک نظامی را برهم زند. جنگ امروز صهیونیست ها علیه ایران جنگ در برابر مفهومی به نام خویشتن باختگی تمدن اسلامی است.
لیکن ایران نے ثابت کیا ہے کہ دین، ثقافت اور علم پر مبنی ذہین طاقت جو روایتی ملٹری ایکویشن اور مساواتوں کو بدل سکتی ہے. آج صہیونیوں کی ایران کے خلاف جنگ دراصل اسلامی تمدن کے خود سے گزر جانے کے تصور کے خلاف ایک جنگ ہے.
خب این نیاز به یک مقابله داره، نیاز به یک همکاری مشترک بین ملت‌های مسلمان و ملت‌های آزاده جهان داره.
لہذا اس مسلط کردہ جنگ کا مقابلہ صرف دفاعی طاقت کے سہارے ممکن نہیں، اگرچہ ایران اس میدان میں ایک ناقابل شکست مقام کا حامل ہے اور اس مقام کو حاصل کر چکا ہے.
نیاز امروز ما ائتلاف برای صلح از مسیر فرهنگ است. در اینجا میخواهم 3 پیشنهاد مشخص دانشگاهی فرهنگی را برای تبدیل تهدید به فرصت ارائه دهم.
آج ہماری اصل ضرورت یہ ہے کہ ہم ثقافت کے ذریعے امن کے لیے ایک اتحاد قائم کریں. اسی تناظر میں 3 واضح تعلیمی اور ثقافتی تجاویز آپ کے سامنے پیش کرتا ہوں تاکہ اس خطرے کے موقع کو ترقی کی فرصت میں تبدیل کیا جا سکے.
ابتدا ابتکار گفتگوی تمدن‌ها با محوریت چند جانبه گرایی آسیایی است.
سب سے پہلے ایشیا کی کثیر الجہتی قوموں کی قومیت کو بنیاد بنا کر تہذیبوں کے درمیان مکالمے کا آغاز کرنا پہلا قدم ہے.
جنگی که ائتلاف آمریکا اسرائیل در پی آن است به دنبال قطب‌بندی مذهبی و قومی در منطقه است.
امریکہ اور اسرائیل کا اتحاد جس جنگ کو آگے بڑھانا چاہتا ہے اس کا مقصد خطے میں مذہبی اور نسلی تقسیم کا پیدا کرنا ہے. ہم یعنی پاکستان اور ایران کے اساتذہ اور اہل دانش
وظیفه ما اساتید و نخبگان پاکستانی و ایرانی احیای مسیر ادبیات فارسی، عرفان مولانا و حکمت علامه اقبال است.
ہم پاکستان کے اور ایران کے اساتذہ اور اہل دانش کی ذمہ داری ہے کہ فارسی ادب، مولانا روم کی عرفانیات اور علامہ اقبال کی حکمت و دانائی کو دوبارہ سے زندہ کریں.
ما باید با تکیه بر اشتراکات فرهنگی عمیق ایران و پاکستان ثابت کنیم که امنیت غرب آسیا تنها در چارچوب همکاری‌های بومی قابل تعریف است، نه حضور ناوهای آمریکایی.
ہمیں ایران اور پاکستان کے گہرے ثقافتی مشترکات پر اعتماد کرتے ہوئے ثابت کرنا ہوگا کہ مغربی ایشیا کی سلامتی صرف مقامی اقوام کے تعاون کے دائرے میں ہی ممکن ہو سکتی ہے، نہ کہ امریکی بحری بیڑوں کی موجودگی میں.
پیشنهاد دوم من تأسیس کمیته حقیقت یابی دانشگاهی علیه ترور و نسل کشی است.
میری دوسری تجویز دہشت گردی اور نسل کشی کے بیانیے کے خلاف یونیورسٹیوں کی سطح پر حقائق کا درست جائزہ لینے والے کمیشنز کے قیام کی موجودگی ہے.
امروز اسرائیل و حامیانش در کنار نسل کشی غزه و حمله به ایران به دنبال ترور دانشمندان و نخبگان مسلمان هستند.
آج اسرائیل اور اس کے حامی غزہ میں نسل کشی اور ایران پر حملے کے ساتھ ساتھ مسلمان سائنسدانوں اور دانشوروں کو قتل کر دینے کا پلان بنائے ہوئے ہیں.
پیشنهاد میکنم دانشگاه‌های تراز اول پاکستانی و ایران یک اجلاس مشترک حقوق بین الملل برای مستندسازی نقض آشکار منشور ملل متحد توسط امریکا و اسرائیل برگزار کنند.
میں یہ تجویز پیش کروں گا کہ پاکستان اور ایران کی اعلیٰ ترین یونیورسٹیز ایک مشترکہ بین الاقوامی کانفرنس منعقد کریں تاکہ امریکہ اور اسرائیل کی جانب سے اقوام متحدہ کے چارٹر کی کھلی خلاف ورزیوں کو ایک دستاویزی شکل دی جا سکے.
این حرکت دانشگاهی پشتوانه تئوریک برای ایجاد دکترین دیپلماسی دفاعی خواهد بود.
یہ ایک ایسا علمی اقدام ہوگا جو سفارتکاری کے دفاعی نظریے کے لیے ایک مضبوط فکری بنیاد فراہم کرے گا.
پیشنهاد سوم من نفی انفعال و ترویج گفتمان بازدارندگی تمدنی است.
میری تیسری تجویز بے عملی کا انکار اور تہذیب کی بازگشت اور ریفلیکشن کی قوت کے نیریٹو کو آگے بڑھانا ہے.
مقابله با جنگ سکوت و عقب نشینی نیست. ما باید با ادبیات آکادمیک جهانیان را آگاه کنیم که هر گونه ماجراجویی نظامی علیه ایران آتش زدن به خرمن امنیت جهانی انرژی و دریانوردی است.
جنگ کا مقابلہ خاموشی یا پسپائی سے نہیں کیا جا سکتا. ہمیں علمی اور دلیل کی زبان میں ساری دنیا کو یہ باور کروانا ہوگا کہ ایران کے خلاف کسی بھی قسم کی فوجی مہم عالمی توانائی کو سلامتی اور سمندری راستوں کو شدید خطرے میں ڈال دے گی۔
سواحل مکران و مرزهای آبی پاکستان در کنار تنگه راهبردی هرمز در ایران شریانهای حیاتی یک جغرافیای مشترک و به هم پیوسته است.
مکران کے ساحل اور پاکستان کی بحری سرحدوں کے ساتھ ساتھ ایران کی ایک اہم گزرگاہ آبنائے ہرمز، یہ مل کر ایک مشترک اور آپس میں جڑے ہوئے جغرافیائی نظام کی بنیادی رگوں کی حیثیت رکھتی ہیں۔
امنیت دو کشور در هم تنیده است. توسعه روابط علمی و فناوری بین کشور قدرتمند اسلامی قوی ترین پاسخ به کسانی است که خواهان ایران و پاکستانی ضعیف و وابسته هستند.
ان دونوں ممالک کی سلامتی ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ بہت گہرے انداز میں جڑی ہوئی ہے۔ ان دو مضبوط اسلامی ممالک کے درمیان سائنسی اور ٹیکنیکل کوآپریشن کو آگے بڑھانا ان قوتوں کے لیے سب سے مضبوط جواب ہے جو ایران اور پاکستان دونوں کو ہی کمزور اور محتاج دیکھنا چاہتے ہیں۔
حضار محترم، سخنرانیم را با اشعاری از علامه اقبال لاهوری به پایان میبرم.
عزیزان گرامی، میں اپنی آج کی گفتگو کو علامہ اقبال لاہوری کے ان اشعار پر اختتام پذیر کرتا ہوں۔
خدا آن ملتی را سروری داد که تقدیرش به دست خویش بنوشت. به آن ملت سر و کاری ندارد که دهقانش برای دیگران کشت.
خدا نے اس قوم کو کبھی بھی سرداری نہیں بخشی کہ جس نے اپنی تقدیر اپنے ہاتھ سے نہ لکھی ہو۔ خدا کو اس قوم سے کوئی سروکار نہیں ہے کہ جس کا کسان کسی دوسرے کے لیے کھیتی بویا کرتا ہے۔
جنگ آمریکا و اسرائیل علیه ایران تابلوی افتضاح یک جانبه گرایی در قرن 21 است، اما ما به عنوان وارثان تمدن موهنجودارو و پرسپولیس به جای ترس از تهدید به استقبال چند جانبه گرایی مقاومت می رویم۔
امریکہ اور اسرائیل کی ایران کے خلاف جنگ 21ویں صدی میں یک طرفہ پسندی کے خوف کو مسلط کرنے کی ایک بہت بڑی اور نمایاں کوشش ہے، لیکن ہم جو موہنجودارو اور پرسیپولس جیسی عظیم الشان تہذیبوں کے وارث ہیں، ہم لوگ خوف کے بجائے تہذیبوں کے مکالمے اور مزاحمت کا رستہ اختیار کرتے ہیں۔
بیایید در دانشگاه‌ها، رسانه‌ها و محافل دیپلماتیک فریاد بزنیم که صلح در غرب آسیا نه با بمب که با بیداری هویتی و احترام متقابل محقق می شود.
آئیے ہم سب یونیورسٹیز، میڈیا اور سفارتی حلقوں میں بلند آواز سے یہ اعلان کریں کہ مغربی ایشیا میں امن بموں سے نہیں بلکہ شعور کی بیداری اور ایک دوسرے کا احترام کرنے سے ہی قائم ہوگا۔
ایران همچون کوه دماوند استوار و صلح طلب است، اما به دشمنان هرگز اجازه چیدن گل را در بهارستان تمدن فارسی نخواهد داد.
ایران دماوند کے عظیم الشان پہاڑ کی طرح مضبوط اور امن پسند ہے، لیکن ایران دشمنوں کو ہرگز اجازت نہیں دے گا کہ وہ فارسی تہذیب کے گلستان میں بہار کے پھولوں کو نوچ لیں اور انہیں اکھاڑ کر لے جائیں۔
در پایان از مردم خوب پاکستان به خاطر حمایت‌هایی که در طول این مدت جنگ از مردم ایران داشتن بسیار سپاسگزارم و از دولت پاکستان به خاطر تلاش‌هاش برای برقراری صلح هم سپاسگزارم. امیدوارم که صلح و دوستی مجدداً به منطقه ما برگردد.
میں آخر میں پاکستان کے قدردانی کرنے والے عوام کا شکر گزار ہوں کہ جنہوں نے ایران کا ساتھ دینے میں کوئی کسر اٹھا نہیں رکھی، اور اسی کے ساتھ ساتھ پاکستان کی حکومت کا بھی شکر گزار ہوں کہ جنہوں نے ڈپلومیسی کے راستے سے مسائل کو حل کرنے کے سلسلے میں ہر طرح سے ایران کا ساتھ دیا۔ مجھے امید ہے کہ جلد ہی یہ کوششیں رنگ لائیں گی اور ہم امن کا چہرہ دیکھ سکیں گے۔
پاکستان زنده باد ایران پاینده باد.
Sorry, it's a technical problem.